A new year, a new semester, but MU's past actions could have an impact on future funding.
The Missouri Supreme Court looks at a major case involving juvenile justice.
And a local community gathers with the goal of helping those in Flint, Michigan. KOMU 8 News at 6 starts now. University of Missouri decisions in the past year might pose a threat to its funding, with lawmakers threatening cuts. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jim Murray. Thanks for joining us. State universities agreed to freeze tuition rates for the 2016-2017 school year. That after Governor Nixon proposed increased funding for higher education. Now the deal is in question. KOMU 8's Michael Lindquist is in the newsroom after talking to lawmakers about a threat to MU's funding.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. And I talked to a few lawmakers earlier today, and they say they're trying to work across the aisle to make sure MU and other public universities receive a bump in funding from the state next year. Now, but some members from both parties say they have a few reservations about some of the decisions MU officials made last year, but they didn't specify which decisions these problems are stemming from.
Work is already underway for the 2017 state budget, and funding for higher education is still up in the air. Governor Jay Nixon proposed a $55.7 million increase in funds for public 2- and 4-year colleges and universities, bringing the total funds for higher education to $985 million. In exchange, universities must freeze tuition rates for the 2016-2017 school year. Democratic Representative Stephen Weber says Republicans need to support the budget proposal, or schools like MU can expect to receive less funding than they did last year.
The Republican supermajority in the legislature will ultimately determine how much funding the University of Missouri receives. And they have been threatening to cut the university budget and to impact students and families across the state because they're unhappy with some political decisions the university has made.
Republican Representative Caleb Rowden says he doesn't think it's a Republican problem.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody has some problems with some of the things that have gone on, but that doesn't mean that we don't continue to move forward. You know, what I've said all along is that the reasons why we've invested in the University of Missouri and in higher education over the last, number of years, those same reasons still apply today.
Lawmakers have until May 1st to approve the budget.
Now, again, neither Weber nor Rowden specified which MU decisions were made that has complicated the budget process. MU Interim Chancellor Hank Foley is set to deliver the State of the University address tomorrow, where funding is likely to be a topic. We will stream that live on our website at KOMU.com.
Also in Jefferson City, an ethics reform bill is a step closer to reality. Tomorrow, Representative Justin Alferman will read it for the third time and send it to the Missouri Senate. The bill would limit gifts from lobbyists to state lawmakers.
I'm really excited at this discussion that we had on the floor today because it seems like there is an overwhelming majority of legislators who are committed to actually getting ethics reform done this year.
Other lawmakers have said Alferman's bill could go even further to include areas like campaign finances.
Here's what's happening right now. A panel is meeting at this hour to discuss the issue of sex trafficking. Today marks the first time Missouri has commemorated the month of January as Sex Trafficking Awareness Month. KOMU 8's Alyssa Casares is live outside of the Columbia Public Library where the panel is meeting. Alyssa?
Right now, survivors of human trafficking are speaking out against human exploitation. The Stop Human Trafficking Coalition is hosting a panel here at the library. Earlier today, the coalition joined other organizations to help raise awareness for sex trafficking in Missouri. More than 30 groups gathered at the Capitol to showcase their work. People visited the booths to talk about how to address human trafficking.
And so it'll be a really important educational tool for folks who want to be educated and folks who want to be part of educating, to use this month to really focus in on this topic.
Crime Victims Compensation and Safe at Home program have joined us. We have just a wide variety of organizations serving victims of crime, but most specifically human trafficking survivors.
The panel goes until 8:30, and the coalition said guests can bring donations for their survivor and join them for a Q&A. Reporting live in Columbia, Alyssa Casares, KOMU 8 News.
MU Assistant Professor Melissa Click pleaded not guilty to third-degree assault charges. The Columbia Assistant City Councilor filed the charge yesterday morning against Click. Click's lawyer represented her in court today. She was not there. MU student Mark Scheerbecker asked the city to file the charges as he feared for his physical well-being. Her next court appearance will be February 16th. We've learned the Board of Curators will hold a public session tomorrow to address personnel and contract negotiations. We do not know if this has any connection to Click's situation.
The Missouri Athletic Department says it has no further comment on quarterback Maddie Mock's indefinite suspension. Athletic Director Mac Rhodes and head coach Barry Odom confirmed the news late last night. They have not confirmed the legitimacy of the video that surfaced. They have also not confirmed Mock is the person in the video. This marks the third time the former starting quarterback has been suspended since the beginning of the 2015 season. Here's a timeline. On September 29th, Mock was suspended for disciplinary reasons related to team policy. Freshman quarterback Drew Locke took over. Mock was reinstated October 25th. Less than a week later, November 1st, Mock was suspended again. He was reinstated in December after Coach Odom replaced Gary Pinkel, and now the latest, an indefinite suspension again. Players have tweeted their support for Mock. Freshman wide receiver Keon DeLosa tweeted, "That video is from 2 years ago. Everyone has made a mistake before. Somebody just felt like it would be cool to ruin his life. He's been clean." Linebacker Michael Shearer tweeted in part, "But now since I did that, I will say yes, the video is very old. Yes, Maddie has been doing everything he can do to be a better person."
A Columbia man was sentenced in federal court today for robbing 6 Columbia banks and running away on a bike. 43-year-old Sean Becker was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months in federal prison without parole. Becker pleaded guilty in August, admitting he had robbed 6 banks in less than 2 months. For a timeline of the 6 robberies with more details on each one, you can check out our website at KOMU.com.
Today, Missouri is scrambling to create a constitutional sound sentence for juveniles convicted of first-degree murder. This after a U.S. Supreme Court ruling yesterday. KOMU8's Andrew Hebert is here in the studio to explain what the case Montgomery versus Louisiana means here in Missouri.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled yesterday that its 2012 ruling banning mandatory life without parole sentences for juvenile murderers applies to those previously convicted. The Montgomery versus Louisiana ruling has forced attorneys and state lawmakers to revisit the prison time for minors already sentenced. The Supreme Court wrote in its verdict, "This court decided that mandatory life without parole for juvenile homicide offenders violates the 8th Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishments." So what does this mean now in Missouri?
So now that the United States Supreme Court has ruled that these juveniles are entitled either to a new sentencing proceeding or entitled to a parole hearing, I think the Missouri Supreme Court is going to have to decide what, if anything, the Missouri Supreme Court is going to give them.
Mermelstein says he believes the decision allows juvenile offenders a chance to prove that they have changed.
And we're not the same person at 15 than we are at 50, for example. And juveniles have a tendency to be immature. Their brains are not fully developed. They are people who have the capacity to change. And I think what the Supreme Court is saying is that courts need to consider juveniles' ability to change and capacity for change and take that into account when they sentence someone.
As of today, 80 inmates in Missouri have been recognized as in this position. Those individuals will await the Missouri Supreme Court's decision on whether to have a parole hearing or a sentence review.
Cloudy and cooler temperatures today, but let's send it over to Kenton to see what we can expect for the rest of the week.
Thank you, Brittany, very much. Good evening, everyone. Certainly a cooler day today. Actually, you can see that on our 24-hour temperature change graphic. 5 degrees cooler, actually. But look over to the west. It's just a bit warmer. Warmer conditions are on the way, and that graphic will be orange the rest of this week because we're starting a warming trend tomorrow. 31 right now in Columbia, 33 in Jefferson City. A little cooler up north, about 26 in Macon. Winds not terrible, only 5 to 10 miles an hour throughout the state, but that is giving us a little bit of a chillier, feels like temperature, a wind chill of 23 in Columbia. Otherwise, tonight and tomorrow, clouds will eventually decrease late tonight for a lot of sunshine tomorrow, starting off the day in the middle 20s, ending the day 20 degrees higher in the middle 40s, and then we are warming up from there. I have the latest 8-day forecast after the break.
Kenton, thanks. Coming up after weather, a live report from Lincoln University. Missouri folks trying to help folks in Flint, Michigan.